Have you ever wondered what it would be like to travel back in time, to witness the events that have shaped our world as we know it today? Time, often elusive and always relentless, has been the silent witness to the rise and fall of civilizations, the triumphs and tribulations of humankind. It's a fascinating notion that our present day, this very moment, will someday be a page in the annals of history. It's easy to overlook the significance of our now, but every second ticks away into the past, contributing to the rich tapestry of human experience. History, in essence, was once the present, taken for granted just as we might the ordinary moments of our daily lives. In this series, we'll voyage back in time, peeling back the layers of 100 years ago to the exact day. Now brace, as we step in through the wormhole of time back to the year 1924. On March 30th, 1924, the Soviet Union made a significant step in shaping their government. A century ago, on this very day, the Soviet Union adopted its constitution, a document that would lay down the foundation for its governmental structure and functions. This constitution was an embodiment of the socialist revolution, a testament to the transition from Tsarist autocracy to a system of proletariat dictatorship. The Soviet Constitution was a beacon of the Soviet Union's ideals, encapsulating the essence of communism and socialism. It was unique in its nature, as it wasn't just a legal document, but also a social contract between the government and its people. It promised to offer the rights of work, rest and leisure, along with providing free education and healthcare. The Constitution also established the governance structure. It highlighted the role of the Communist Party as the leading force of the society and the state. It defined the powers of the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, while also setting up a plan for economic and social development. One of the most significant aspects of the Soviet Constitution was its declaration of the right to self-determination for the republics. This meant that every republic under the Soviet Union had the right to secede from it, a right that would later play a crucial role in its dissolution. The adoption of the Constitution was not just a milestone for the Soviet Union, but also a significant event in world history. It set a precedent for socialist countries around the world, providing a model for their own constitutions. However, like any other political document, the Soviet Constitution had its critics. Many argued that the rights and freedoms it promised were often overshadowed by political repression and lack of political pluralism. Despite these criticisms, the Constitution's impact on the Soviet Union and its legacy cannot be denied. This event laid the groundwork for the Soviet Union's governance for years to come. It was a testament to a new era of governance, one that was deeply intertwined with the ideals of socialism and communism, shaping not just the Soviet Union, but influencing the course of world history. On the same day, halfway across the globe, a significant event in the world of sports took place. The Masters Golf Tournament, a competition that would come to be one of the most prestigious in the sport, had its first radio broadcast. On this day, the airwaves were filled with the rustling of the wind through the Georgia pines, the hushed tones of the commentators, and the crack of the club as it met the ball. This wasn't just about sharing the thrill of the game, it was about making golf a spectator sport. It opened up a world previously accessible only to those present at the greens. The broadcast brought the excitement, the tension, the highs and lows of the game right into American living rooms. It created a new way to experience golf, turning listeners at home into a part of the cheering crowd. This broadcast marked a milestone in sports history, bringing the thrill of golf to homes across the nation. Meanwhile, in Greece, a new constitution was being adopted. A wave of change was sweeping across the nation, a call for modernization echoing through the halls of power. This was not just a change of rules, it was a transformative moment, signifying a shift in the very structure of the country's government. Greece was transitioning from a monarchy to a parliamentary democracy. But what did this mean for the people of Greece? It meant a shift from a system where power was held by one to a system where power was distributed among many. The new constitution aimed to instill democratic principles at the heart of governance, fostering a culture of political participation and representation. This was a major step in redefining the political landscape of Greece. The monarchy had been the dominant form of government for centuries, but the winds of change were blowing. The new constitution sought to decentralize power, empowering the parliament and the people alike. It introduced a system of checks and balances, ensuring that no single entity held absolute power. But the transition was not without its challenges. The road to democracy is often fraught with obstacles, and Greece was no exception. There were those who resisted the change, clinging to the old ways. But the desire for a more representative form of government was strong, and the new constitution prevailed. The Constitution of 1924 laid the foundation for the Greece we know today. It was not perfect and would undergo several revisions in the years to come. But it was a starting point, a blueprint for a more democratic society. It was a testament to the resilience of the Greek people, their desire for change and their commitment to democratic values. This constitution marked a significant step in modernizing Greece's political system. It was a pivotal moment in the country's history, a turning point that would shape its future. And as we look back on this day, 100 years later, we are reminded of the power of change, the importance of democracy, and the endless possibilities that lie in our collective hands. In the realm of literature and scholarship, a significant recognition took place in France. This day marked a milestone in French literary history with the election of Paul Valéry to the French Academy. Known for his evocative poetry and insightful essays, Valéry was an intellectual powerhouse whose influence extended far beyond the realm of literature. His election to the French Academy, one of the most prestigious literary institutions in France, was no small feat. The Academy, responsible for preserving the French language and promoting excellence in literature and scholarship, recognized Valéry for his substantial contributions to French literature and intellectual thought. This event underscored the importance of his work and cemented his legacy in the annals of French literary history. Valéry's election was a testament to his intellectual prowess and his unique ability to blend poetry with philosophical thought, making him one of the most celebrated French literary figures of his time. This event highlighted the French Academy's role in promoting excellence in literature and scholarship. On a more global scale, a historic agreement was signed on this day. The Geneva Protocol, an international treaty, was inked, forever altering the rules of warfare. This treaty, formerly known as the Protocol for the Prohibition of the Use in War of Asphyxiating, Poisonous or Other Gases, and of Bacteriological Methods of Warfare, was a pivotal moment in the history of international conflict resolution. The early 20th century had seen the terrifying power of chemical and biological warfare, particularly during the Great War, where gases such as chlorine and phosgene claimed countless lives. The horror of these weapons was not only in their lethal nature, but also in their indiscriminate destruction. Soldiers and civilians alike were susceptible to their deadly touch, with no regard for the age, gender, or combatant status of the victims. The Geneva Protocol aimed to put an end to this. It was a unified stance by the international community, a collective decision that such weapons had no place in civilized warfare. The protocol prohibited the use of asphyxiating, poisonous or other gases, and of all analogous liquids, materials or devices and bacteriological methods of warfare. This was a clear message to the world that the use of such weapons was not just inhumane, but also internationally unacceptable. The signing of the Geneva Protocol was not without its challenges, however. Some nations were hesitant to put their signature on the treaty, fearing it might limit their defensive capabilities. Yet, despite these concerns, the majority saw the greater good in the agreement. Over the years, the protocol has been supplemented and expanded by subsequent treaties, further strengthening the prohibition against chemical and biological warfare. The Geneva Protocol was a crucial step towards a safer world. It represented a collective, global desire to prevent the horrors of the past from repeating themselves. It was an assertion that humanity's capacity for destruction should never overshadow our capacity for compassion, respect, and the preservation of life. As we close the chapter on the events of a century ago, we're reminded that history is not just a record of the past, but a mirror reflecting our journey as humanity. What might seem like a simple date on a calendar, March 30th, 1924, was a day of monumental shifts. From the adoption of constitutions to the first radio broadcast of a golf tournament. Each of these moments, significant in their own right, added a new thread to the intricate tapestry of our shared history. We see the strides toward modern governance, the evolution of mass communication, the recognition of literary genius, and the global commitment to more humane warfare. Indeed, these aren't just events of the past. They are stepping stones that led us to our present and will guide us into our future. As we journey further into the annals of history, let's continue to find inspiration and lessons from our past. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making history of your own.